Hey there, it's Katie Jarvis with Managing the Mess. If we haven't met before, I'm a K-6 elementary art teacher, and I work here at a Title I school just outside of Washington, D.C. And the point that I'm making this video, I think I still have 6 weeks of school left. We go to school until the middle of June. So I'm breaking down for you the 6 things that I'm going to be focusing on those last few weeks of school. The first thing that I'm focused on is doing one thing each day that's not on fire, because this time of year there's always something that you have to do, but I try to pick something that I would like to do each day, and I feel good if I just get that one little thing finished. Now, I change what this is from day to day based on how much time that I have, because this is also the time of year when the weather is really nice, but I know that I don't want to come back to these issues. So this is things like deep cleaning. So I'm already done with wet clay. I've got one more class that needs to glaze. So one of the deep cleaning things that I did was I washed all of my clay mats and I put them away for the year, because I don't want to come back to that mess next school year. It also can be things that have just been on my to-do list that I've been putting off and putting off and putting off. I try to identify when can that kind of thing get done. It could be organizing a supply. I know for me, I got new containers to store my markers in. I want to change those out at the end of this school year, so that's not a job that I'm coming back to next school year. I need to start organizing my closet a little bit more. My room sometimes looks really neat, but it's because a lot of times I'm throwing things in my closet. So there are things there that really need to be gone through. So identifying areas like that, because when you come back to school in the fall, you're going to be rested, you're going to be relaxed, but you're not going to want to face to-do list items from the previous school year. You're going to have a whole new list of things that you came up with that you want to do over this summer. And, things will be given to you and put on your plate. And that time before the school year starts goes really fast. So I'm trying to take advantage now. So things I also do for, it doesn't have to be done, but I try to force myself one of those things each day: returning artwork, because you don't want to have a big giant pile of artwork at the end of the year that you're passing back like that last week. It's really just anything that I can think of to help me get ahead. For me, I know I'm going to be really busy the rest of this week. We've got a holiday. I've got a sub coming one day. So I today did 2 different things that helps me get ahead for Monday, just so that I could use my work day to completely focus in on some bigger tasks. I just knocked 2 little tasks off of getting some materials prepped for students that I don't need until Monday. And right now it's Wednesday. So that was kind of more ahead than I would normally be preparing. But again, these things that are not on fire are helping your future self. The very last week of school, I give out art awards, and I call it the Golden Paintbrush Award. So I select 2 6th grade students to earn this award, and I get this ready ahead of time. So very soon here, I'll make a trip to Lowe's or Home Depot, and I will pick up the 2-inch chip wood brushes. It's just a very inexpensive paintbrush, and I spray paint those gold. Now, I use that exact same brush in my art room as my behavior management from classes from week to week. So the classes earn either a gold paintbrush or a silver paintbrush. So my whole school is really familiar with this whole idea of the golden paintbrush. So it's a really big deal when they see 6th graders earning this and getting a paintbrush to take home. Now, in addition to that golden paintbrush, I will go out or on Amazon order a really nice sketchbook for those students, and I will put a sticker inside and write a short message and sign it and have the date in there. And I will get either colored pencil sets or a really nice paint set, and then I will tie that up with the golden paintbrush. So I'm sort of handing them a little package when they receive their award. I've been teaching for 22 years, and I, for as long as I can remember, have forced myself to select an idea and start to prep it for what I'm gonna do that first week of the next school year. So what I plan is usually a collaborative art project. Now, I'm thinking about when I come back, we're gonna be going over rules and routines. Lots of information about that on my YouTube channel, so I'll put some links in the description for you if you're planning that first day. But part of that first day, I want my students to be making artwork, and it's fun to get something up where everybody is working on something together. So in the past, I have done a Where's Waldo bulletin board. Each of my students got a little template, and they created a self-portrait of themselves with that classic red and white striped shirt on it. And I hid the principal as Waldo in our scene, and then would move him around every once in a while for students to find and continue to interact with the artwork. I've also done a soup can template, and you could hang the soup cans up and they could design it to tell a little bit about themselves. So they could do like Pokemon soup or art soup or soccer soup and make those really fun and colorful. Selfies are usually a hit those first few weeks of school, and I really like doing monochromatic projects, and I do it by my table colors because I have the whole colors of the rainbow for my tables. So I would do the portraits in the same way. That way, when they come back the next week, they remember what colored table they sat at. When I've done that with portraits, the most successful one was I did a little cutout of an iPhone, and they could either do a portrait of themselves or they could create apps that told a little bit about themselves. I've done my school's mascot. So at the time I was at a school that the hawk was the mascot. So every student created and painted a feather, and we put them all together to make a beautiful hawk. This past school year, like I shared, we did a giant crayon mural. So every student got a little crayon. There was a spot in the middle of the crayon where they drew a little self-portrait, and they were able to paint it then on the second day. Just with temper cakes, super easy, but they got some fun art painting and making experience in those first few weeks of school. This year, I am thinking to do something maybe with school supplies. I've seen some really cute projects where there's like a pencil and a paper. So I may venture out a little bit and just have like 2 or 3 projects that all sort of go together and make one big scene. But trust me, if you can get yourself to decide on an idea now, you get it all prepped, you put it in a box, you will be so thankful you have that done in the future. As art teachers, we have a lot of things to clean up and pack at the end of the year. So try to start doing it early. Think about, what are you done with? What are you definitely not using anymore this year? Clean it up, organize it, and pack it and put it away. I have a whole video with organizing and packing tips for the end of this school year. I'll link that in the description down below. You definitely want to watch that video next. One of my biggest tips from that video is taking pictures. So that's something you might want to do right now. Take pictures of how things in your room are set up, particularly your technology. Makes things a lot easier when you're setting things back up in the fall. The last few weeks of school are a great time to organize and go through your resources. A lot of what I do, I like to reevaluate, like, did I have enough of something? Did I really have the best resource that I could use for the lessons that I taught this school year? Are there things I want to look around for on Teachers Pay Teachers and maybe purchase and laminate before the school year ends? Are there things I want to put on a to-do list that I want to make myself so that I have it to use with my students for that next school year? Are there resources that I'm no longer using that I have taking up space in my art room? So try to organize the resources that I do have. I had been keeping them in these giant Rubbermaid totes in my closet, and I would keep like all the things that I'd prepped ahead of time, as well as like laminated resources. And I would label like what was on the outside, and I was really doing it by grade level. When I found out, it was a little bit easier to just do it by genre. So all the weaving looms now I put together. So kindergarten, first and second. These are looms that I copied onto construction paper. I have a template over on my Teachers Pay Teachers, but I copy these like now for next school year. I copy them right on the copy machine. I fold them in half and I store them in these bins, and then they are ready to go. So my future self already has them, doesn't have to stay late when it gets to be the end of the year and the weather is starting to get nice. And they're easy to find since all the weaving tools are together. I always save that for the fourth quarter just because it's really high value and low mess. We also save the sewing projects. For my individual projects, instead of having them in the larger containers, I started to move them over to, I guess these are like storage keeper, it says. I don't know if these are scrapbooking containers. So like all my animal drawing resources are in one. I do a big painting with my fourth graders on the regions of Virginia. So I have one with all the resources about Virginia together. I purchased something on Teachers Pay Teachers where the students are making a Mary Blair castle. And then we use these circle and square tracers. So I pull everything you need for that lesson all together. My fifth graders have been doing these world architecture playgrounds. All the pictures that they were looking at in those resources are together. They do a printmaking project about candy, and we use tracing paper, so I put all those resources there together. So when we're doing these projects, I feel like then I can just pull this out. I'm going to come up with some kind of a labeling system to put on the outside here too, and hoping that that is a little bit easier for me to keep things organized in the coming school year. The biggest task that I take on at the end of the year is ordering and inventory. So I will inventory and take note of how much I have of each item in my art room. I have put this on my Teachers Pay Teachers. It's a template that I use every year, and there are two versions of it. There's sort of a general version that has categories and some basic suggestions, and then there are specific things on the other order that is exactly what I use and what I order from year to year. Now, I will first inventory before I move on to the ordering part of that template. So I'm going through my cabinets. Usually I have students or my daughter help me with this. And let's say we're counting purple paint. I will count how much purple paint do we have, but I'm only counting bottles that are unopened. That way we have a little bit of wiggle room. We've got a little bit extra. Once I look at what we already have, then I can plan for what we might need for the next school year. At the same time, this is when I'm looking around for what lessons am I going to do next year. You need a lot more green glaze for clay if you know you're going to be making tons and tons of frogs, let's say. So you need to plan ahead for those things, especially for the big projects that are really important to you. You need to know what those would require, how much you would need based upon even like your staffing and how many you have at each grade level for the next year. Let's say you always do, you know, yarn weaving with third graders and you use this certain size of cardboard loom and you're going to be adding another third grade the next school year, you might need to order 25 more. So I would also get with your principal and try to find out the numbers in your school for the next school year so you can make that part of how you figure in how you'd like to spend your money as well. Now, I know this is a big, overwhelming task. So not only do I have those templates available over on Teachers Pay Teachers, but I have this other full video completely about ordering an inventory that I hope that you'll watch next.